How's it going, everybody? Lampini here again today, and we are going to be reviewing Week 3 of the 2025 NFL season. So, Week 2 was kind of a surprise. We had some really good games. Some games were unexpectedly good. Some games we learned about teams in different ways. Other games, they're pretty much the same teams that they've always been. So, we're going to kick things off with our predictions. So, I was 13-3 with my predictions for Week 2, so I did pretty darn good. The only three games I picked incorrectly was the Seahawks beat the Steelers, the Colts beat the Broncos, and the Falcons beat the Vikings. We'll go over all that in a little bit. But everything else I got correct, so 13-3. For the whole season, I am 25-7 with my predictions, so we're off to a pretty good start this year. Significantly guessed more games right than wrong. That's why you come to this channel. So without further ado, let's kick things off with Thursday Night Football. So starting off on Thursday nights, we have the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. Bills are coming off the win, whereas the Dolphins are coming off of a loss. The Dolphins have kind of been the punching bag of the NFL so far this season after their disastrous performance in Week 1 against the Colts. They did a little bit better against the Jets. Not the Jets. They did significantly better against the Patriots, still losing 33-27. Tua Tagovailoa threw a crucial interception at the end of the game. He was 26 of 32 for 315 yards, two touchdowns, one interception, and 115.5 passer rating. So he didn't do too bad. Tyreek Hill had 109 yards off of 6 receptions. Devon Achane, 8 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. And then Jalen Waddle, 5 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. So all the skill position players did very well. But so they played a lot better. But they still ended up losing to the Patriots. Patriots aren't a very good team, and the Dolphins did look better in this game than they did in Week 1. But I do think that this team has officially hit their ceiling, and I don't think that they're going to be anything better than an 8-win team. Maybe that's their ceiling. They're probably going to finish like 6-11, like I predicted. They're looking like that a lot more and more. I think that Mike McDaniel is a good football mind, and I think he is going to get a job as an offensive coordinator later on. But I think he's lost the team. He's lost the locker room. And I think that just means that he's going to have to move on to a different team. They're going to have to let him go. But what do you do with Tua? He is holding this team hostage as a painfully mid quarterback. I don't really know. As for the Bills, we didn't learn anything new about the Bills. They're still the same juggernaut team that they had been for the last 5 years. Everyone, no one is surprised that the Bills are going in there and kicking ass and destroying people. They're the same situation as the Ravens. Can they get by the Chiefs? Can they break through that glass ceiling and actually make a Super Bowl? We'll see, but they had a great game. Josh Allen was 14-25 for 148 yards. He actually wasn't that great. 73.4 passer rating. Tell you who was great, though, James Cook. 21 carries, 132 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. James Cook fantasy owners rejoice, including myself. He had a great game for you guys. Solid team victory. Bills won convincingly and looked very strong. I mean, this is what we expect from the Bills. We expect the Bills to be great in the regular season, just like the Ravens. Their real test is when they make the postseason. And it hasn't changed. I'm going with the Bills on this one. They should defeat the Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to fall to 0-3. The Bills are going to jump to 3-0. Is this the Bills' year? I don't know. Is it the Ravens' year? I don't know. We won't know until they make the Super Bowl, pretty much. So we'll wait and see. I'm going with the Bills. So now we come on to the Sunday slate of games, and we're going to kick it off with my team. We have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Washington Commanders. This was a matchup in the 80s that would have drawn a lot of attention. But this one is drawing a little bit of attention now. Both teams are 1-1. Both teams are coming off of losses. The Raiders are on a short week. The Commanders are on a long week because they played on Thursday. We're going to talk about the Commanders first, since chronologically that's what happened first. Here's my thing I think about the Commanders. It's very hard to win a short week road game like this. They had a great win against the Giants. They had to come back on Thursday on the road, and they didn't play a good game. And I'm not necessarily that surprised. They did fine. Jaden Daniels was 24 of 42 for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an 85.4 passer rating. Those 2 touchdowns came in garbage time. There was a point where the score was 17-10. We had scored a touchdown, making it a 1-score game. We needed the defense to make a stop. They couldn't do it. We just weren't. The Packers were the better team. looking at what the Packers did to us and the Lions in week 1, the Packers just might be the best team in the NFC, maybe the NFL. So I'm not really that sour on our loss. We just got beat by a better team. I think we will bounce back. My main concern is the knee strain for Jaden Daniels. He has a knee strain that they have him in as day-to-day. I'm not really that concerned if Marcus Mariota has to play. I think he's one of the most competent backups in the league. In fact, that he has starting experience. He's just an older guy, a similar skill set to Jaden Daniels. I think he can run the offense. I think he's gonna he fits the bill of what a backup quarterback should be, coming in a pinch at home against a beatable team. I wouldn't mind if Marcus Mariota played. If Jaden Daniels is not 100%, then they got to go with him. They obviously don't know how quickly Jaden Daniels is going to heal from the knee injury and so forth. So I wouldn't mind if they didn't play him just to let him rest up an extra week. But this is a bounce back game we need to have, because after this we play the Chargers, and the Chargers are looking like a really strong team. As for the Raiders, they lost out to the Chargers 20-9, as we were speaking about it. The Chargers destroyed the Raiders 20-9. Geno Smith had a really poor game. He was 24 of 43, 180 yards, 3 interceptions, 37 passer rating, a 19 QBR. He had a very, very poor game. No light about it. Threw 3 interceptions. One game is not going to define him. I do think that he is still the Raiders starter, and I think the Chargers are just a very good team. But I am going to go with the Commanders on this one. I think that the Commanders have a better defense. We're talking about average to slightly below average in terms of defense. They do have Max Crosby, but we dealt with Micah Parsons as well as we could. I don't think the Raiders' offense doesn't really scare me that much outside of Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. But who is going to probably attack a guy like Brock Bowers? Our linebackers. Our linebackers are our strongest form. You have Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu going against Brock Bowers. And then we have a pretty strong defensive line, I'd say, with Ashton Genty, because we have Daron Payne. Javon Kinlaw did very well stopping the run. I know that's why we got him. So I think we will be okay regardless if Marcus Mariota plays. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I do think Washington Commanders are going to win. I don't even think that's bias. I do think we're going to win. Improve the 2-1, get Jaden Daniels back, and then I think once that happens, once we've settled in a little bit, Terry McLaurin will get a couple more reps. I think we're only going to get better as the season goes on. So I'm going with the Commanders on this one. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers at the Cleveland Browns. We just talked about the Commanders. Now it's time to talk about the Packers. The Packers literally look like one of the best teams in the league right now. I had said that in my season predictions that the Packers were a very young team, and it seems like they've very much matured now. Jordan Love had a great game, 19-31, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, 113.9 passer rating, and Tucker Kraft really just gashed us on the inside. 6 receptions for 124 yards and a touchdown. He had a 57-yard long reception at one point. The Packers just outplayed us and outcoached us, to put it simply. I think that's better than if we threw the interceptions or had a lot of turnovers. That just shows we're still a disciplined football team, I guess. But the Packers are a very, very good team. I think they're going to steamroll the Browns. I mean, we didn't learn anything new with the Browns when they went against the Ravens. They suck. They lost 41-17. Joe Flacco threw a bad interception. They're not a very good team either. We didn't learn anything new with the Browns. They're not going to be a good team. They might be one of the worst teams in the league. I'm going with the Packers on this one. They're going to crush. They're going to move on to 3-0. The Browns are going to move to 0-3. So next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts against the Tennessee Titans. So the Titans are 0-2. The Colts are 2-0. The Colts have not punted or turned the ball over on any of their first 2 games. They've scored on every single possession that they've had. Now, that reminds me of the Washington Commanders streak that they had early last season. I think they had something similar where they didn't punt. I think that's going to come to rest soon, but the Colts are doing very well. They're putting a lot of their game together. Jonathan Taylor's doing great. Daniel Jones is doing well as a game manager. Daniel Jones was 23 of 34 for 316 yards and a touchdown, a 107 passer rating. Good game by Daniel Jones. And then Jonathan Taylor, 25 carries for 165 yards. He averaged 6.6 yards a carry. Jonathan Taylor had some injury concerns the last couple years. Last year, he had a good year. And it looks like Jonathan Taylor's bouncing back, and he's having a really solid year. The Colts look good, man. Going against a team like the Broncos, I think adds a lot of legitimacy to them, because the Broncos are a legitimately good team that made the playoffs last year. And I think this helps the Colts case here. the Titans are a divisional opponent, so like that could hurt them. Upsets are a lot more prevalent and a lot more possible when it's a divisional round matchup, because if you think about it, for any of you newcomers out there, when you're in the division, you play the same team twice a year. So that team knows how you run plays. They know your team a lot better than some of these other teams, like Denver, for example, when the Colts played them. So if any team is going to pull off an upset, it's going to be a divisional round team at home. So just bear that in mind. And the Colts did barely escape with a victory. The Colts had missed the game-winning field goal and then got a mulligan after a penalty, which caused them to win the game. So they are 2-0, but they barely squeaked out with that win against the Broncos. Now, as for the Titans, they lost out to the Rams 33-19. It wasn't that much of a slaughter. The Rams really turned up the offensive overload there at the end, and it made the score a lot more wide margin. But it was a close game for most of the game. Cam Ward had another rough game by looking at the stats, but he had some pretty good plays. He was 19 of 33, 175 yards and a touchdown, and 82.3 passer rating. Good showing there by Cam Ward. The Titans are still not very good, and Cam Ward is getting beaten up. But I will say this, Cam Ward has shown a lot of promise, escaping the pocket, running around, finding receivers. I think he's going to be just fine. I think that we're starting to see this now, though, where a new genre of team where they're a bad team, they're a bad franchise, and clearly they have a franchise quarterback that's being held hostage, so to speak. There's a lot of teams that I could really apply that to now. We got Matt Stafford when he was on the Lions back in the day. Clearly a talented guy, held back by a bad team, but he's their franchise quarterback, and they're like, oh, we're not letting him go. He's our franchise quarterback, right? Same goes with Trevor Lawrence. Same goes with Caleb Williams now is what it's looking like when we look at what the Bears have been doing. Bryce Young, while I don't think Bryce Young is great, it's kind of that same thing where they're strapping the rocket to this guy, and the same goes for Cam Ward. Unlike Bryce Young, I think Bryce Young's the only example of this, but I feel like a lot of these guys, they're not doing great because they're on a bad team. But when their contract is up, they may get traded. What's happening to Matthew Stafford is everyone knew he was good. He was held back by a bad team with the Lions. He moves to a different team like the Rams, and now he's an upper tier top 10 quarterback, right? He won a Super Bowl. He's won playoff games. He's done well in the playoffs. It just shows that football is very much a team sport. You can be the best quarterback in the world, but if the team around you is bad, your success will be limited. So I'm wondering if that is kind of what's going to happen with Cam Ward. It's still very early in the Titans rebuild. And I think the good news is they are playing teams tough. They're just being outmatched and out-talented. You know what I mean? Tony Pollard is their starting running back. And Tony Pollard is fine, but that's still a lower half, lower quartile, lower half starting running back in the league. Same goes for their receivers. Like Calvin Ridley's all right. It would have been great if they still had AJ Brown, but their talent, their number one talents, number one wide receivers and stuff, they're fine, but they're not great. There's a lot of teams that have better wide receiver ones and running back ones than the Titans, right? So they're still very fresh in with their rebuild, and for that reason, I'm going to go with the Colts. They're operating on all cylinders. Daniel Jones is having a career resurgence. Every single good game Daniel Jones has, the Anthony Richardson window is closing and closing with him. So I think it's safe to say he's close to losing his job. And I had a feeling Daniel Jones was going to do well. I always saw that, if I can just ramble for a little bit, Daniel Jones seemed like the consummate professional. He wasn't an immature guy. Just something was missing. And it's why isn't this guy able to get the job done? Like Sam Darnold almost. Daniel Jones is proving now that the spot that he's in now is good. And again, same with Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones is very, very young. He's 28, 29. If things work out with him, the Colts could have a quarterback for the next 7 years. And after what's been going on with Andrew Luck, I think they would gladly have a guy like Daniel Jones who can run as their starting quarterback if this season goes well, though. We'll wait and see. They're off to a great start. I'm going with the Colts on this one, and I think they're going to win. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Minnesota Vikings. The Bengals won, although they may have won, but at the end of the day, they really lost. It took them 3 years to finish 2-0, and it only cost them their star quarterback for pretty much most of the season. They said that with a turf toe injury, he is going to miss 3 months, which means that he's going to be back and ready around Christmas time. to give you an idea of how far away that is. So they're going to have to roll with Jake Browning for most of the season, which is not what Bengals fans want to hear. It's basically the worst case scenario for them. They were actually off to a good start. Apparently, Bengals fans just can't be happy. Like, ever since 2021 and 2022, they, like, 23, 24, and 25 have been nothing but pain for the Bengals. They've been struggling with injuries, terrible defenses that held back an MVP caliber season from Joe Burrow, and now Joe Burrow's out for basically the season with a toe injury of all things. For long term, it's not a throwing shoulder injury, so, like, he'll be back next year. But, like, guys, you have your franchise quarterback, you have two great wide receivers, and the Bungles are bungling, and it must be so painful for Cincinnati Bengals fans. As for the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy has his own injury to worry about. He has a high ankle sprain, so he's going to be out for a little bit. He was 11 of 21 for 158 yards and 2 interceptions, 37.5 passer rating. So another bad showing by J.J. McCarthy. Carson Wentz is going to get the start over J.J. McCarthy, which I don't think that's going to go very well either. From a Commanders fan, trust me, Carson Wentz is not it. Whatever happened in 2017 that made him MVP caliber, he's lost that magic. And it's going to be tough for the Vikings. They're very lucky that they have one of the best coaches in the NFL in Kevin O'Connell. I think he can hold the Vikings above ship, but without their starting quarterback, not much they can really do. Not only did J.J. McCarthy have a bad game, he was sacked 6 times. His QBR was 6.2. Now, while he did rile them to victory in week 1, no such thing happened this time. And that was not very assuring for Vikings fans. So what do we do here? It's backup versus backup. The Vikings are 1-1. The Bengals are 2-0. In the coaching department, the Vikings have them, but in the quarterback department, I think Jake Browning is a good backup. He reminds me of like a Cooper Rush kind of thing, where like he's good and he will probably prop up the team and keep them afloat for a little bit. Bengals fans are unfortunately very familiar with Jake Browning because he's had to play a lot, which also kind of helps him out. I'm going to go with the Bengals for that reason. I think they're used to not having their quarterback the last couple of years. And Jamar Chase and T. Higgins proved that they can still do magic. T. Higgins with a unbelievable touchdown catch, like long bomb. Like they have 2 number 1 wide receivers, and they can't put it together because their quarterback can't stay healthy or their defense struggles. It is so frustrating because you just want the Bengals to be great. But this is why I had them at 9-8. I knew they weren't going to be able to put it together. They're a cursed franchise, and not much else to say. I don't really know what else to say, but I do think the Bengals are going to win, and they're going to be 3-0 somehow. Well, I'm going with the Bengals. So next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots. This is the 2010s AFC Bowl here. Patriots and Steelers in the 2010s pretty much dominated the conference. And the late 2000s. You know, the Steelers made 3 Super Bowls, a couple conference championships. The Patriots went on an all-time great run from like, I want to say 2011 to 2018, where they went 8 straight years making the conference championship, a record the Chiefs are a season away from tying. But I digress, just a little football history for you. The Patriots won. They beat the Dolphins 33-27. Drake May was 19 of 23 for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 137.3 passer rating. Had a great win. Great game by Drake May. It was against the Dolphins, but Patriots played well. Not really expecting much out of the Patriots this year. This is a big rebuilding year. But you know what? They put up 33 points with a young quarterback. They're doing their thing. They're not really going to be a threat or anything. I think their absolute ceiling is they get hot and they squeak by a wild card win and get crushed in the divisional round. Kind of like what happened with the 2021 Patriots. They did really well in the regular season, and then the Bills stamped them into submission in the wild card round. I think maybe that's what their ceiling could be. As for the Steelers, they lost 31-17. That's a lot worse than it looked because they had a crucial special teams error where they didn't fair catch or hit the ball. The ball was live. The Seahawks got basically a free touchdown on special teams. That being said, Aaron Rodgers didn't do great. He was 18 of 33 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions for a 58 passer rating. He did have to force the ball because they were down, but they were fortunate enough to cause 2 3-and-outs after Aaron Rodgers' 2 interceptions. So that is still a testament to how good the Steelers' defense is. As long as the Steelers have a defense that good, they will be fine. They had a chance to win this game, and a dumb error really put it out of reach for them. So I don't think the Steelers are in that much trouble. I do think they're going to beat the Patriots. They have more talent. They have more experience. Coaching, I'd say probably pretty even. I'm going to go with the Steelers. They're going to improve to 2-1, and the Patriots going to fall to 1-2. So this next game, I think, is going to be a real offensive powerhouse. We have the Los Angeles Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. Both these teams looked great. The Chiefs did have a legitimate chance to beat the Eagles if it wasn't for the bobbled pass by Travis Kelce. The tush push is still continuing to be a problem, the brotherly shove, as it's more affectionately known. My concern is, like, when they were talking about banning the play, it used to be banned. And the thing that's really concerning me now is they're showing these replays of the Eagles getting away with, like, basically the whole offensive line getting a false start before the ball is snapped. So, like, I'm all for fairness, but, like, if that's not being called, that's a big problem. Because, like, we all know it's basically, if it's 3rd and short, it's basically an automatic first down. It's a very overpowered move. If it's all within the rules, then that's fine. But the officials need to be able to officiate it. And if the Eagles are committing false starts, like, this is completely hypothetical, if they're committing false starts on, like, half the times they run this play, then it becomes a problem. What are the Eagles without the tush push? I don't know. We'll find out. I still think they're a very good team. If any team is going to be able to beat them, though, I think it's going to be the Rams. The Rams have had some very tough regular seasons the last couple years with Matt Stafford getting injured, stuff like that. But they're operating on all cylinders right now. Matt Stafford was 23 of 33, 298 yards, a touchdown, an interception, a 105.4 passer rating. He's firing on all cylinders. Devontae Adams, 6 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown, and Puka Nacua, 8 receptions for 91 yards, 0 touchdowns. But the Rams have a very, very strong offensive attack, and they've shown they have a very good defense as well. I think the Rams are a dark horse for the NFC. They look really, 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 really strong. As for the Eagles, they squeaked by the Chiefs. They were the better team. They capitalized on turnovers. The Chiefs' offense is still anemic. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But it was a close game. It was 20-17. The Chiefs were doing a lot of coming back in, like, garbage time. And if Travis Kelce doesn't bobble that catch and it doesn't get intercepted and he catches it, the Chiefs take the lead, right? It's just the difference of one play. But the Eagles have not looked like their usual, like, dominant selves like they were last year. I still think they're a very good team, but they are noticeably, like, not as good. I'm going to go for the upset here, and I am going to pick the Rams. If the Rams manage to beat the Eagles, I think that's going to be very telling of where the Eagles stand this year. They're going to be they're going to be a great team. They're not going to be number one. You know, near the end of the season last year in my predictions, I was having the Eagles as the number 1 overall team, right? And they just might not be that anymore. The Rams, on the other hand, might be pretty close. I think, like, the power rankings are way too early. I think I'm going to start that around week 5. But I think the Rams are a top 5 team right now. They have 2 convincing wins with Matt Stafford looking great, with both their receivers looking great. You know, this would be a very, very big statement win for the Rams if they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going with the Rams. So next up, we have the New York Jets at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Jets have been very, very unlucky with the teams they've had to face. They had to face the Steelers and then the Bills, which are 2 very, very strong teams. So I kind of feel bad for them in that regard. But at the end of the day, that's how the NFL works. The Jets got pounded by the Buffalo Bills 30-10. Not only did they get crushed, but 2 of their first 4 drives ended for negative yards. Around the midway point of the second quarter, I'm just doing the math in my head as I'm looking at it right here. They had 13 net yards, not great. And Justin Fields left the game with a concussion, so he's probably going to miss the game. Tyrod Taylor came in. Tyrod Taylor is one of these very accomplished backups like Marcus Mariota. So, I mean, maybe, but Tampa Bay is a very good team. And Baker Mayfield has them running on all cylinders. The Bucs are a lot like the Rams. They're sneaky good. Like, the Buccaneers are just a sneaky team this decade. They've been very good with Brady and now with Baker. And they showed me a lot in their Monday night showing against the Texans in that they're resilient. They can get game-winning drives when they need to. I think Baker Mayfield as a franchise quarterback is really getting a lot of respect, particularly after that game. His running ability, his willingness to put his body on the line, his competitiveness, like he has, for as undersized as he is, he has the brains and the knowledge, and he has the IQ of what it takes to be a quarterback. And I don't think a lot of people give him a lot of credit for that, but he's putting it all on display. He was 25 of 38 for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns, 98 passer rating. Good showing by him. It was a nip and tuck drag out game against the Texans, but they won on an 11-play, 80-yard drive in the fourth quarter. That's exactly what you want your quarterback to do. These long, sustained drives in the fourth quarter, it's a game-winning drive. Like, that's what you want from your quarterback, and Baker was able to deliver it. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers again on this one to improve to 3-0. They're just looking like a good team. They are looking like a solid playoff team, and the NFC is really starting to heat up, and that's not good for my Washington Commanders either. The power balance is starting to shift a little bit, particularly with the 49ers declining. The Eagles may not be the best team in the conference anymore, especially with the Buccaneers, Rams, and now the Packers. Like, the playoff picture is going to be crazy. And I'm afraid that the Washington Commanders might be one of the teams that get lost in the shuffle, which is why we need to win this game on Sunday. But I'm going with Tampa Bay. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. I'm not really going to talk too much about this game because the Falcons won convincingly against the Vikings. Michael Penix was 13 of 21 for 135 yards. He didn't really do a whole lot, but I'll tell you who did. Bijan Robinson, 22 carries for 143 yards. He averaged 6.5 yards a carry. A lot of field goals. But my God, is Bijan Robinson good. He is like really amping it up, and he looks great. And I'd say that the Panthers need to be very careful because Bijan is going to run all over them. As for the Panthers, they still are not great. Bryce Young had a good game on paper, but a lot of these touchdowns were in garbage time because the Cardinals got such a huge lead. The score was 27-22, but it actually wasn't that close. Bryce Young was 35 of 55 for 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interception, a 90.6 passer rating. Like I said, a lot of that came during garbage time. They came very close to catching up again, but they just fell short in the end, so not much really you can say about that. I'm going with the Falcons. Another easy win for them. They're going to improve to 2-1, so they got to take these easy wins when they can, because the NFC is heating up. Next up, we have the Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars, another interdivisional round matchup here. The Texans lost a very, very close game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Texans are now 0-2. They need to win this game. They are showing me that they're a good team. C.J. Stroud had a solid game, 13 of 24, 207 yards and a touchdown, and 97 passer rating. He's proven to me that they're a solid team, and I think they ultimately are going to beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars had a chance to beat the Bengals, but Trevor Lawrence threw some bad interceptions. One of them was in the red zone, as you can see right here. You can't be throwing red zone picks, especially when you have the chance to push forward. Trevor Lawrence, I put him in the category of franchise quarterback that's being held hostage by a bad franchise, but I'm really starting to wonder if Trevor Lawrence really is just like not that great of a quarterback, like a low tier starter. We used to consider him as like a high tier starter, just on the verge of maybe becoming one of the guys that are in like the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson category, and that just really hasn't been happening. Is it because the Jaguars are a bad franchise? Possibly. But he throwing those kinds of interceptions is not doing them any favors. So maybe they're a match made in heaven. Who knows? He got paid like he's the franchise quarterback, so they're stuck with him until further notice. So I am going to go with the Texans on this one. I don't think Jacksonville has what it takes, and Houston is very, very hungry for a win on the road. And I think they're going to get it. I'm going with Houston. Next up in the 4 o'clock slate, this is going to be a very, very interesting game. We have the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. This is for AFC West supremacy. We have Sean Payton versus Jim Harbaugh. What a matchup this is going to be. Both teams have great defenses, and on both teams I think are very similar to each other. They have a Hall of Fame, borderline Hall of Fame with Jim Harbaugh, Hall of Fame level head coach with a young quarterback and a solid defense. And both these teams, well, the Broncos did lose, but they still played well. and the Chargers took care of business. So Bo Nix was 22 of 30 for 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception with 111.2 passer rating. And then Justin Herbert on the flip side with the Chargers was 19 of 27, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, 122.8 passer rating. So great game by the Chargers. They're looking a lot like they did last year, where they win a lot of these games and they look really, really good and really, really strong. But they folded in the playoffs. So we kind of already know what to expect from the Chargers. They're going to be a really, really good team. But so are the Broncos, right? So this is really going to I kind of see both these teams on an even playing field, and I think this is really going to establish who's better, who is in that next tier of team. And I think it's going to be the Chargers, to be honest. They've looked the strongest, and the Broncos specialize in heartbreaking losses, as you saw last week. And I think the Chargers are going to win. They're going to improve to 3-0, and they are going to be in firm control of that division. Because if the Raiders lose and the Broncos lose, they'll be 2 whole games in first place. They'll be comfortably in first place. So that's very interesting too. We'll wait and see. That's going to be a good game. That's a 4 o'clock slate game. I'm actually going to try and watch that one. So I'm going with the Chargers. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are 1-1. Saints are 0-2. As we all know, the Saints aren't great. They're not a great team. And they did well against the 49ers, but ultimately fell short. Spencer Rattler had a good game. He was 25 of 34 for 207 yards and 3 touchdowns, 118.1 passer rating. Good showing there. They still came up short, though. I just don't, I don't know. Is that garbage time? Is that Spencer Rattler showing that he can be the guy? I don't really know. I don't really think he's going to do enough to win the starting job. As for the Seahawks, they played very opportunistic football, despite Sam Darnold throwing 2 interceptions. He was 22 of 33 for 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 89.8 passer rating. So, I mean, a decent showing there. Kenneth Walker, 13 carries, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. He averaged 8.1 yards per carry. That's a bit better. Very good showing there by Kenneth Walker. This is a game the Seahawks need to win, and I think they are going to win. It's at home. They have good home field advantage with their 12th man thing with the crowd. I'm going with Seattle. They have the opportunity to really stake a claim early on in the season with a strong record for the playoffs. Because they kind of did the same thing last year. They were 3-0, and then they lost it at the end of the season. Honestly, I can kind of see that happening again with them. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll wait and see. I'm going with the Seahawks. All right, so as we trudge along the 4 o'clock slate of games, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the Chicago Bears. Well, the Bears and the Cowboys, well, the Cowboys won, actually. Let me take that back. The Cowboys had an absolute bonkers game with the Giants, where Russell Wilson turned back the clock and threw super long passes to Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, respectively. You'll see those when I start going over the Giants. But listen, man, I don't think it's good for the Cowboys defense to give up that much against such an anemic offense, especially when you look at how they played against us in week 1. But I will say this. Dak Prescott, 38 of 52, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns and interception, 96.7 passer rating. I see what the Cowboys see in Dak Prescott in games like this, because Dak played a very good game. He kept them in this game, long, sustained, deliberate drives, got them in there. That's what a nice, hard-nosed veteran quarterback is going to get you. Dak is fine. I don't get the Dak Prescott hate. I think that he is a solid starter, but he's not in the upper echelon like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. I'd say he's maybe a tier or 2 lower, but I still think he's a top half starting quarterback in the league. And thank God they have Brandon Aubrey. Brandon Aubrey casually kicks a 64-yard field goal to get them into overtime, and then I think it was a 48-yarder that won the game. Just goes to show the importance of having a strong kicking game on your team. They can literally win games for you. Very impressive showing there by the Cowboys to squeak by with a win. As for the Bears, this was a close game, but all the hype that the Bears had for being good this year And what did I say their record was going to be this year? Oh yeah, I had them going 7-10. Yeah, that is probably where they're going to end up because I don't know what it is about the Bears. They cannot win football games to save their goddamn life. They lost 52-21 against the Detroit Lions, the perfect get-right game for the Detroit Lions, I guess, beating up on the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams was 19 of 30 for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, 91.9 passer rating. Roma Dunze had a great game, 7 receptions for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he had a phenomenal game. It's just the same old thing with the Bears. And it's the same old thing with a lot of these teams. Like, I don't know why the Bears just can't field a good roster. They haven't had a good team since 2018. And since 2018, they haven't had a good team since 2010. They haven't won a playoff game since 2010. This level of incompetence and irrelevance, if the Bears were a smaller market team, would go completely unnoticed. But because the Bears are in one of the biggest media markets, like, their failure is on display. And I don't know if it's ownership. I don't know if it's bad coaching. I have no idea what it is, why they can't put things together. You had all these first-round draft picks from the Panthers. You got a haul to build a super team, and you couldn't do it. It boggles my mind. But you need a prediction. I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. I just think the Bears are such a mess. They just can't put a good team together. The Cowboys have shown they can win with some adversity. Dak Prescott is still a very good quarterback, and I think that he is capable of putting the team on his back when he needs to, especially to defeat a lackluster opponent like the Bears. I'm going with the Cowboys. So next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are out without Brock Purdy for a couple weeks, and they don't have George Kittle either. The injury bug gets them yet again. The Cardinals are 2-0, but they did beat probably the 2 worst teams in the league in the Saints and Panthers, so I don't really take them seriously. Kyler Murray was 17 of 25, 220 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and a 92.1 passer rating. Not great. Mac Jones, on the other hand, a starter for the 49ers, a real cut-and-paste option there, huh? Brock Purdy, Mac Jones. Mac Jones was 26 of 39 for 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 113.1 passer rating. Very impressive showing by Mac Jones. Brock Purdy's going to get the job back, but if Mac Jones can hold the team down like this, I mean, I see no reason why the 49ers can't get the upset and take away the 0 on the Cardinals' record. I don't think they're very good. This is the best team the Cardinals are going to be playing all year. 49ers have a good defense. Mac Jones has been a pretty solid plug-and-play replacement as of 1 game. But I'm going with the 49ers. I think they're going to beat the Cardinals. So now we come to the Sunday night game. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Giants. The Chiefs and the Giants are both 0-2. Now, the Chiefs played 2 very tough opponents, and they had a very strong chance of winning against the Eagles. Their kind of devil magic that was winning them a lot of games last year is kind of backfiring on them now, I think. And that little interception that Travis Kelce couldn't bring in, the touchdown pass he couldn't bring in, really was what did it for them. Patrick Mahomes was 16 of 29, 187 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, a 72.1 passer rating. But he also had 66 yards rushing and a touchdown. Like, the whole offense is Patrick Mahomes. And I really think that we need to give Mahomes' scrambling ability a lot more attention, because if Mahomes wasn't as good of a scrambler as he is, the Chiefs would be in big trouble. Like, the 1 rushing touchdown Mahomes had was pure highlight reel fuel. Very impressive stuff there. Like, and he missed multiple long bombs as well. Like, the Chiefs' offense just looks off. Like, Mahomes has gotten it done, and he's made some magical plays, but their offense just looks so out of sync. It's really weird, and you don't expect this level of turmoil from a dynasty like the Chiefs. The Patriots never had this problem. The 49ers never had this problem. Like, it's really bizarre. This is a get-right game for them, and I think they truly reach panic mode if the Giants, of all teams, beat them. I really don't think that's going to happen, though. The Giants had a great game where Russell Wilson turned back the clock and threw moonball after moonball to Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors. Incredible showing if you look at this. Russell Wilson was 30 of 41 for 450 yards, a career high, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 123.1 passer rating. Malik Neighbors, 9 receptions for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Wan'Dale Robinson, 8 receptions for 142 yards and a touchdown. Like, it was crazy the way that game ended. And seeing how anemic their offense was against Washington and seeing it completely flip on a dime like that against the Cowboys is pretty crazy. Like, I think every single person in the NFL had the expectation that Russell Wilson's job was holding on by this much before Jackson Dart comes in. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this game if Russell Wilson plays like he did in week 2 or week 1, because Russell Wilson may have just resurrected his career with that performance last week. Really, really crazy. He looked like the Russell Wilson of old. So that was an incredible showing, but this is a must-win for the Chiefs. They need to win this game. If they lose to the Giants of all teams, despite what they did against the Cowboys in week 1, if they lose to the Giants of all teams and fall to 0-3, it's panic mode. Fire your offensive coordinator. You need to do something, because whatever's going on offense, the defense is fine. The defense is getting the job done. So whatever's wrong with the offense, they need to fix it. But I am ultimately going to go with the Chiefs on this one. I do think they're going to win, and they're going to get their first win of the season. So now we come up to the Monday night game, and what a doozy it is. We have the Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens. Incredible Monday night game here. Both teams crushed their adversaries. Jared Goff was 23 of 28 for 334 yards, 5 touchdowns, 156 passer rating. Jahmyr Gibbs got a touchdown. David Montgomery got a rushing touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 receptions, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, it was belt to ass. Anyone who thought that the Lions weren't the same team that they were, like they are the same bite your kneecaps kind of team, and they showed it in this game. But the Ravens are going to be a tough sell. It's going to be a tough team for them to go against. They beat the Browns 41-17. Lamar Jackson was 19 of 29 for 225 yards and 4 touchdowns, 128.6 passer rating. Derrick Henry didn't really get going much, but I expect him to pick back up in this game. It's going to be tough because, like, you could see these two teams facing each other in the Super Bowl, right? Like, they're both really, really strong teams. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the Ravens because they're at home, and I think that they're going to, like, the two-headed attack for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is just so hard to beat. And I don't think the Lions have an elite enough defense, and I don't think they're going to be able to outscore the Ravens offense, so I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a great game. You're not going to want to miss it. So that concludes my predictions for Week 3. We have a lot of great games here. We have the Monday night game. The Chiefs trying to fight to stay away from 0-3. We have the Rams against the Eagles. We have a lot of good games. I'm hoping the Washington Commanders can get a win so their record can keep them afloat. A lot of great games this week. I hope you all have a good time watching it, and I hope to see you next week for Week 4. Take it easy, y'all.